What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Thanks for clicking on this video if you're new here. And I'm already laughing before I even hit record because this episode of With Love Meghan, episode 6, called Juice is Worth the Squeeze, and all of these titles for these episodes are from things Meghan literally said. So, hello honey, welcome to the party, 2 kids from LA, love is in the details, and right, surprise and delight, and now juice is worth the squeeze. So I'm gonna scroll through the episode on Netflix to just see what goes on, because I already watched it and I took notes, but I feel like my notes are very much bullet points of the episode. But in this episode, Meghan is saying that her girlfriends are gonna come over for a game night, and for the most part, in my humble opinion, whenever people say we're gonna have a game night, what I thought was like they were gonna watch a sports game. I'm not and I felt stupid, but it literally meant that Meghan and her girlfriends were gonna come over and play games. But the game that they play is mahjong. And I was so weak, as the kids say, or as I've been saying, like, I was literally so weak. Like, I laughed so hard because Meghan has become an old woman. No offense to old people, but like, do you guys really think she left the royal family to be sitting in the backyard playing mahjong like she's an old Chinese lady? No. And it was just like, yo, this was like so odd. And I'm not saying people can't have hobbies, because there are people of all ages who like different things and board games, and that's fine. But Meghan Markle, who on the Tig, you know, when she was a self-made millionaire, the Tig, before everything started, she was flying all over the world, running around. She was not a chess player. She was not playing mahjong. She was not even playing cards. Like, you know what I mean? But let's get into the episode. I'm sorry. Okay, let's get into the episode. Alright, so we have beautiful establishing shots, Meghan Markle opening up a fridge, and no joke, guys, she makes an avocado toast. And, I mean, I'm trying to let me just stick to the episode instead of deviating, okay, and going on my rants. Because when I edit, I have to cut so much out because I literally just go off, and I'm trying not to be mean. I'm trying to critique the show. People say I'm mean, but I'm not. Like, she makes avocado toast, okay? And what is the avocado toast? It's literally just bread, smashed up avocado, everything bagel seasoning, and then her dried flowers, edible flowers, and some arugula, and a fried egg, and her flour sprinkles. No joke, that's what's on the avocado toast. And she's cutting it like it's some masterpiece. And then, oh my god, guess what, guys? She makes a man a sandwich. The feminist, the guy who's the producer, I think, the guy behind the camera who's directing the whole thing, I don't know, the director. And she's like, now I'm gonna make you an amazing sandwich. A manwich. Wow, guys. The feminist who wrote letters to Procter and Gamble is making a man who's not her husband a sandwich. I'm in shock. Can you believe it? A woman in the kitchen making a man a sandwich with bacon and all these things, and yeah, watching him eat it like, isn't that so good? And a fried egg, and I made a man a sandwich. So then this is when she cuts to the title card and pretty flowers and birds flying by. And then she has what she calls grocery store flowers. And she starts going on this tangent about how to create floral arrangements. Again, and again, this is like a repeat of the last episode. And she says there's nothing fancy about this, but it's going to be helpful, because she starts taking tape and taping it over the pot to put the flowers to make the flowers stand up. And she said in the last episode she doesn't like to put flowers in a glass vase anymore because she doesn't want to change the water all the time, and people can see when the water is murky, so she puts them in clay vases and different kinds of vases other than clear ones. So then she starts talking about how, you know, the girls come over and they play mahjong and they have these competitive game nights, and then she's making plantain chips. And she said they always compete at different people's places, and so she says that it's quick to make these plantain chips in the oven. And so she's getting a Mexican chef to come over. And what is his name? She's okay. The subtitles say that she's whispering. She puts chili, lime, salt in the plantains, and then, of course, she does a full hug. And then, oh, it's nice to meet you. And then she says, "I'm gonna make you a coffee," and that she heard that he likes iced americano. And then they start making Mexican food. I'm just gonna speed through this because he's making tacos basically, and we don't need a recipe for chicken tacos. Like, and when she was, no, that's not this. Yeah. So this is actually the episode where she gets into talking about the dried citruses, and she starts talking about how there's so many things you can make with them, but she gets very happy because she does not look happy. Again, she doesn't look happy to be in the kitchen and cutting things up, and it's obvious she doesn't like cooking, and you can tell. And then she says, you could make sparkling lemonade, and then she says, or a lavender lemonade cocktail, or you can put the dehydrated citrus ring in there. And we know, Meghan, you're not drinking lemonade. Come on, you're drinking cocktails. And so she has like 50 different types of oranges. And then, let me skip through. She's making the Mexican food and sauces. She's basically the sous chef, so she's not the main character of this episode. So she hugs the chef, and then Tracy Robinson comes over, and her husband is the CEO of Paramount. So people suspect that Meghan is gonna say after the next, it's not a season 2. There is no season 2 of this show. What is happening is that she filmed a part 1 and a part 2. You know how they'll drop Bridgerton? Bridgerton will be like, let's say, 16 episodes, and they'll drop it as part A and part B. Once upon a time in network television, they would literally make a season with 20 episodes. And they would release every episode every Friday. So the season would air and be long because there's 20 episodes in the season. What Netflix does nowadays is they'll film like 8 episodes or 10 episodes and then basically release it half and half instead of just dropping it all at once. So she did not get renewed for a season 2. There is no season 2. It's basically part 1A and part 1B. Alright? So people suspect that after this, they're not going to have a deal with Netflix anymore. And then Meghan is going to say, oh, due to a difference in ideas, Netflix and I parted ways, and me and Harry, and we're so glad that they allowed us to share our story when nobody else would, and really get our truth out there. And just exactly what happened with Spotify. And then she and her husband are going to move over to Paramount because she's such good friends with the CEO and the CEO's wife. That's where they went to Jamaica when they were at the Jamaica thing, and then they were spotted out for dinner in New York, and now she's on Netflix, so we're getting ready for it. So then they're making margaritas, and I mean I have always been a blended margarita person, right? Because this sounds very weird, but when I was growing up, my parents used to make them blended when their guests would come over, because we grew up in Texas, but you can drink margaritas anywhere. But anyways, I always thought that margaritas were supposed to be like frozen and blended in a blender like a slushie. And so like when people drink margaritas with just juice, basically, when it looks like juice, to me that's weird because it's like a lemonade, even though it still has the same things as a blended margarita, right? Okay, so they literally have a lemonade-sized pitcher worth of tequila. And I was like, are they gonna drink that? Like, I was literally so shocked because I was like, wait, what? Because for me, it's like you pour it into the little cup thing and then you pour a little bit. Like, it's not, like, guys, like, I was like, what? I was concerned for their livers. But, so you can tell, again, that Meghan likes she likes a drink. And it's fine, okay? And so Meghan and Tracy are talking about, while Meghan is making yet another crudité board, they're literally talking about their drink. And Meghan says, do you want to start on cocktails? And Tracy says, yes, please. I'm reading right from the subtitles. And so Meghan is like, we have 4 mason jars because we like to drink different things. And they start talking about how each of them likes different juices. And so one of them likes grapefruit and tequila, and the other person likes peach, whatever. And then Meghan says, I feel like she and Tracy both like it the same way. And she says, we want margaritas, lower sugar, a little bit of a kick to it, okay? And then Tracy laughs and says, a little more than a little bit of a kick. And then Meghan says, I mean in terms of spiciness. And she says, oh yes, sorry, because she is saying we like a lot of tequila. This is what she's saying. We like a lot of tequila, more tequila than sugar, okay, because you put agave in there. I like sweet alcohol. Like, I don't like bitter alcohol. I can't do it. But she obviously likes spice, whatever it may be, whatever the spices that they're adding in there, plus a lot of tequila and a little bit of sugar, right? And then Meghan is looking at her like, I just mean in terms of spiciness. And she says, oh, yes, sorry. And Meghan is looking at her like, and then she's like, yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. And then, so then she has to pivot because she doesn't want to stay on that of like, you're literally exposing me to the whole world. So Tracy makes the cocktails, and then again, they have this ginormous, literally ginormous pitcher of tequila, and they all pour out their drinks, and then they're just laughing their asses off while making this tequila. And then the other women arrive, Victoria, and I forgot the other woman's name. And they're from Godmother's bookstore, and then Jennifer and Victoria, and then they all sit out in the back and eat their tacos, and then they play mahjong, and then they start going on this talk about how they start going on this talk about how they build each other up and support each other, and are each other's champions, and they're such a team while they play mahjong instead of like competing and being like, no, I'm gonna win. And it was just we're like this woman says, a cheerleading group for each other. We're always helping each other out. And I personally feel that Meghan has latched onto people and said, oh, I don't have a sister-in-law anymore because I cut off my husband's family. So you're like my sister-in-law, Tracy. Yeah, you're like so much better than, what happened before. She will never talk. She doesn't talk about the royal family. She just says, before and after. Before and after, like, again, someone said it, it's like she served a jail sentence. Or when people talk about a divorce, like, oh, before, And it's like these women from Godmother's bookstore are like her replacement moms in a way, even though she has a mother. I mean, I'm just thinking to myself, so she has these mahjong nights with Tracy and these other two women, and these other two women look like they could be her mom's age. And why isn't her mom playing with them? Because they had a picture, and Doria wasn't in it, but it was just the four of them. But of course, Meghan it has to be the Meghan show, right? And when you're with your parents, again, the people always say this, the reason why Harry only met the mom and not the dad and anyone else in her family was that Doria was down with the get down and wouldn't say anything that Meghan didn't want her to say, whereas the other family members will tell these stories about, oh yeah, Meghan went to Sacred Heart. Well, we all know what school she went to, but we'll tell stories that will reveal what Meghan was actually like, or stories that she may have lied about or whatever. So yeah. So that was the end of that episode. That's literally all that happened in that episode. The juice is worth the squeeze. And now I'm going to review, I'm just going to review the rest of the episodes because there's only 2 more left. The next one is Elevating the Everyday with Vicky Tsai. And the only reason why I liked this episode was not because of Meghan, was because of Vicky, because she's the founder of Tatcha Cosmetics. I've never tried the brand, but basically Meghan gave her a spot on the TIG back in the day, like in 2014. I think it was before she even started Tatcha. So that was kind of like one of her first, I guess, platforms. And Meghan, one thing I will give her is that she's good at this. If you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. So she will like make friends with people who are starting businesses or are businesses and be like, I'm just so supportive of women. And then when she has an engagement, she will like wear your jewelry brand. And I mean, at the time in like 2017, 2018, there was an actual Meghan effect, right? Where people would go and buy the brands and stuff. So I think that Meghan is the type of person that she has loyalty to those who can do something for her, unless you're like, Jessica Maroney. But anyways, so this episode starts off with Meghan being in this garden with a ginormous basket and in a northwestern sweater, but not the purple one, another one that actually looks like better than the purple one. So she's basically talking about how Vicky is such a good friend and how Vicky, she's getting a bunch of fresh vegetables to give her a harvest basket. And then she starts talking about, oh, I've known her for so long and her mom is so nice, blah, blah, blah. And then she's basically putting all of these unwashed fruits and vegetables into a ginormous basket. And then there's a flashback scene. Well, she's wearing a different outfit. And then she's making, what is she making? Oh, she has croissants. And then she has butter. And she tells us that she bought these croissants from the store. And she puts mint around the croissants and strawberries just to say, oh, these look so good. You know, and then so she's frothing milk because she says Vicky likes very sweet sweetener. But Meghan says she hates coffee. But then there's images of her again at a coffee place back in the day making latte art and being like, oh my god, look at this coffee. But I'm sure she got to interview them, or they got to interview her, so that's why she had to allegedly pretend that she likes coffee. So then Vicky gets there and she's like, oh, that's so sweet. And they're talking. And people have pointed out that this is the same exact outfit that she wore when she and Harry did the Good Morning America, CBS Mornings, whatever it was, CBS Mornings interview with Jane Pauley, Jane Pauley, something like that. And so it's the same exact outfit, same makeup, everything. And so they're eating these croissants and talking, and then Meghan is telling, they were talking about how she got these pot stickers from Vicky and that they were so good, so they're gonna make some pot stickers. And then Vicky is talking about how they usually make them during Chinese New Year, but you can make them anytime, and how her mom never writes down recipes, and when they moved to America there was no Chinese restaurants, and so they bought cookbooks and would make their own food because at the time there was no Chinese restaurants. And Meghan is just like, wow. But Meghan can't relate when anyone talks about family. So then she brings her a cookbook, and then they wrote down, Vicky finds this recipe that she wrote down as a kid, and her handwriting was extremely neat. So they put on these aprons and they started making pot stickers and fillings, and they don't make, and Meghan was like, oh, I appreciate that I didn't have to make the outside of the pot stickers, like the wrapping, the dumpling wrap thing. And it gets into this whole thing of like, yeah, you know, your children will appreciate if you don't do it all because you can't do it all as a mom, right? And it's just like, oh my god, dude, I have never in my life like eaten chicken and then been like, oh mom, how come you didn't make barbecue sauce from scratch? Because I eat barbecue sauce on my chicken. Like, that's how I like it. But how come you didn't make sauce from scratch? How come we have to eat this Heinz ketchup? How come you didn't get tomatoes and squeeze the tomatoes and make it from scratch? You're such a bad mom. Oh my god. How come you're buying rice from the store and you're not planting rice like we're in China somewhere in a rice field? Oh my god, you're such a bad mom. Like, who in their right mind would literally be like, oh, how come you didn't make the dumpling, the dumplings, whatever, the dumpling wrappers, whatever, I don't even know what they're called, I'm sorry for my ignorance. It was so annoying, like, it was just ridiculous. Okay, so, then they're making these things, and then literally, I forgot what they were just going on and on and on, and, there's a flashback scene where Meghan is making chili oil. She's making chili oil, and then they make the pot stickers, and then, Meghan started crying. Or almost cried. I think she started crying because, she started crying because Vicky had told her about how, there is Meghan had brought it up because she had told her that there's a Japanese, I'm so sorry guys, there is a Japanese custom or tradition of when you break a pot, right, and instead of like throwing it away, you'll put it together with sort of like a gold glue. It's not glue, but you'll put it together with a gold glue and paint or whatever, and when it's put back together, it's still beautiful, right? And so it's called kintsukuroi, And it just literally says to repair with gold, the art of repairing pottery with gold or silver lacquer, and understanding that the piece is more beautiful for having been broken. And of course, the other word for it is kintsugi. And Meghan is like literally crying because when she hears about this thing that people have been doing for like 5,000 years, it's about her. It's about her just because she was in the royal family and they were so mean and racist and they dropped her and they broke her into pieces and the media broke her into pieces and it was almost unsurvivable. And then she fled like a refugee in the middle of the night and flew on a private plane to Canada and then flew on another private plane from Canada to America on the Freedom flight, and then she got $100 million deal, which was not really $100 million, and then people hate her so much, and she's just a mom. She's a mom, even though Catherine is a mom, Camilla is a mom, her sister is a mom. All the people that she's trampled on have been moms, and it doesn't matter because she's Meghan and no one, like, she can do no wrong and everybody just hates her when everyone is jealous of her and we all hate her and we are all jealous of her and she cries herself to sleep at night because of us, not because of her own actions that make people criticize her. And she's still beautiful. And I don't remember if I said it, that they called the naked cake in the first episode, which was popular 11 years ago, beautiful on the inside cake. And Daniel said, oh yeah, people don't know her until you go deep and then you see the real beauty. This whole show was just, Meghan is great and she's wonderful and she just loves everyone and she's nice to the staff. She doesn't bully her staff. She cooks them chicken wings and she's just so lovely, loving and kind, and she feeds people and it's her love language. And Meghan, no matter how many times you say you love community, you have friends, look at me, I have friends, look at me, I have a husband, look at me, I'm in my backyard with chickens and my kiddos, and you keep showing the back of the kids' heads. We don't know who those kids are, first of all. We have no idea who they are. No matter how many times you say that, we will never forget you fake curtsying and mocking the queen and her country, even though you claim you studied international relations and you want people to curtsy to you and call you the Duchess of some sick, evil, old, patriarchal, racist institution that made you want to unalive yourself. We will never forget the way you treated the queen. We will never forget how you lied to Oprah when Prince Philip was on his dying bed. We will never forget how you literally tried to break apart not just your family, your own blood family. You tried to break apart Harry's family as well and destroy a thousands-old institution because everybody's so jealous of me. Everybody's so, oh, they're living in the Stone Ages. We need to modernize it. I'm the Duchess. Because you couldn't get your way and you will never be the queen. That was your problem. You will never be the queen. You'll always be behind Catherine. You will always have to curtsy to Her Royal Highness, the Princess of Wales, and it eats you. That's what the problem is. It eats you. You are jealous. No matter how many times you literally try to be like, I'm loving, I'm kind, I'm loving. Guess what? A person who's loving and kind doesn't need to scream it over and over and over. You don't need to write it like a chalkboard. I'm loving, I'm kind, I'm loving, I'm kind, I'm loving, I'm kind. You're trying to convince yourself of that. You're trying to convince yourself because it's eating at you. We can see how you've been deteriorating over time, and it's not just the alleged Ozempic. We can literally see how you are a black hole. You've become a black hole and you are sucking up you've sucked the life out of Harry. I mean, he was always a man-child, you know what I mean? But we see the evil looks you give Catherine. We see that. Thank God we have cameras. It's all over video. We see how you treat staff. Someone who's so loving and kind and loves to feed people would not be called a dictator in high heels. How come Catherine isn't being called a dictator in high heels? How come Catherine doesn't have staff running for the hills? How come Princess Diana didn't have staff running for the hills saying she's screaming at us and hit it like you're being like Naomi Campbell, right? Allegedly throwing hot tea on people, having to give people hush money. How come everywhere you go it's the same stories, Meghan? Why? It's you. It's literally you. Follow in the words of Taylor Swift and say, it's me, hi, I'm the problem, it's me, because it's literally you. You can literally say, I'm loving and kind until Jesus comes back, but you will never convince anybody. And we know you're trying to convince yourself because you have not convinced us, and you will never convince us because you're fake, you're phony, you are a black hole, you have no personality. That's why you literally have to be an octopus and steal other people's souls. You're a vampire who's literally stealing other people's personalities. Ivanka Trump, that you literally said you loved, and that she's just so beautiful, and she has the recipe to a perfect life down pat, and oh my god, she's not like other celebrity kids who are running around being trashy trying to shade Paris Hilton. Then you have her on your podcast to call her a bimbo when you are the bimbo. You are the dumb one. I'm so educated. I studied international relations, but you don't know what the national anthem is. You can't Google it. You don't know that it's the same tune of My Country 'Tis of Thee. You're an actress, you're the star of Suits, but you can't memorize God Save Our Gracious Queen. Long live our glorious Queen, God Save the Queen. You can't memorize that? Nobody taught me how to curtsy. Nobody taught me that. I thought you were a girl boss and a feminist and I can do bad all by myself, Meghan. I thought that's what you were. But you literally are almost, okay, I was gonna say this in another video, but I'm gonna say this now. So, someone on X, and their name is Voice of Albania, right? That's their profile name. They found records that Meghan applied for an internship at 17 magazine in 1997, and she didn't get it, but she was an honorary recipient, and she was listed in spring of 1997 as being 21 years old. And I saw this for myself with my own two eyes. The record, and it was in the archives, like those digital archives with all the different other people's names. Okay, she was listed as being 21 years old in 1997. To me, that doesn't sound right. You know why it doesn't sound right? Because she claims she was born in 1981. So if she was 21 years old and it said Meghan Markle, Los Angeles, 21 years old, spring 1997. 17 magazine. That would mean that she was born in 1975, not 1981. And that would mean that she's 49 years old, turning 50, not 43, turning 44. How about that? How about that? Alright, let me go back to this episode. They make the pod stickers. Then, Vicky gives a lesson in the Tatcha Cosmetics and some whatever they're doing about skincare that you can do at home. I skipped that part. I was not interested. Then they make tea, and also while they were cooking these pot stickers, they opened a bottle of alcohol and started drinking. Okay, so whatever. I don't care about that anyway at this point, because they started drinking tea for like 5 seconds, and then they opened the bottle and then they started drinking, and then so. They did the backyard exercise. They drank some more tea in the backyard, and then that was the end of the episode. So next we get to the last episode, and it's called Feels Like Home. So in this episode there was not much going on either, because there's not much substance to the show. And Meghan is in the backyard making another crudité platter and making a board of food, a brunch. And I'm not going to lie, I liked this setup. This setup was very beautiful. Okay, I will give her this. Whether this was Meghan's idea or she had some stagers or some professionals come and make this, because I don't personally believe she put this all together by herself, because this was the photo shoot for With Love Meghan. This is where she had the photo shoot for on Netflix. This was where the poster thing came from. Okay, so I believe they had a actual setup of people, and she just dictated what she wanted, and they put it all together. That's my humble opinion. Okay, but this was a gorgeous table. I will give her that. I like this. You can tell that she put these flowers together, but other than that, then she gives people a gift wrapping lesson, because she's gift wrapping. And then this woman named Alice Waters that I truly never heard of until this episode. Well, I heard about her because people were talking about her because Anthony Bourdain apparently didn't like her or said something about her or something like that. So anyways, they're here and they're talking about farm-to-table fresh ingredients. So Meghan Markle, it basically says that this woman inspired her so much that she's gardening and all these things, and she just loves her so much, and whoa. And then talks about how she composts because Alice Waters composts, okay, and she's into eating super fresh, healthy, super duper meals. And Meghan said before, but when she was a guest chef on Top Junior, that she had farm-to-table foods as a child. When she was growing up, that's what she ate as a child. But then of course she lied during the other episode and said she ate so much fast food and was a latchkey kid. Alright. So then, what are they even making? I can't even remember. There's just so many vegetables, and I don't even know. They didn't even make anything. But anyways, they're just talking, and she's just so happy to meet her idol. Okay, fine. Then Meghan goes into the chicken coop in a flashback scene, and it's called Archie's Chicken Inn, and she gets a bunch of eggs, and she literally gives the chicken a ginormous ice cube full of vegetables and fruits inside of the ginormous frozen ice cube, like a giant bowl of frozen water with the frozen ice cubes. And she says that's what make the yolks very, very, very yellow. Okay? Alright, so then she and Alice Waters have these eggs, and they make a quiche. Yeah, that's all they make is just quiche, and they're just I'm so happy. And then here goes Meghan party planning, and she's saying, oh, this doesn't have to take you a long time, anybody can do this. She literally gets a stencil. I'm not joking. A ginormous notebook with no lines, and a stencil, and a light pencil, and starts stenciling the lines for the notebook in her office. I'm presuming it's her office, or an office somewhere, okay? And she's like, oh, anyone can do this. It doesn't have to take a long time. And then she's literally making this list for the party, the brunch, right? The simplest, best ingredients. Oh, I'm so healthy. Look at me. So she starts writing this list. And the list is heirloom tomatoes and quiche with basil, okay? And then she starts going on about how she got an A- in penmanship. And she never got over it because she's mad and she's still talking about it today. Then she calls it Alice Waters Garden Greens, okay? And then, Then she says mimosas, bellinis, coffee, and a tea assortment. And then also throughout the whole series, she keeps talking about world building. Making a world. Even when she's cutting up the kimchi and putting it in a little, the watermelon kimchi and putting it in a little tower, she's like, oh, we can build a world over here and then we can build a world around there. And it's like, Meghan is an actor and producer and script writer in her own head, so all she does is just create worlds. And it's just weird to hear somebody say that out loud outside of the context of writing a story. If I'm telling you guys about an animated film that I'm working on, I'm literally building a world, so it's appropriate to talk about those things. But in reality, if I'm talking about organizing champagne and tea at a brunch, it's not building a world. Like, that's odd. Anyways, okay. So then she put something else on the list, and somehow I can't get it on. I can't find it over here while I'm trying to skim through. And then she talked about something else, smoked salmon with accoutrements, and then she says potatoes with caviar and whatever, and then she said something with estate honey, and people were laughing so hard because they're like, what the hell is estate honey? And in the first episode with Daniel, she was talking about how you can go get beeswax because they made beeswax candles, but I forgot to talk about that. And she said you can get that from your local beekeeper. Like, oh my god. Alright, so then she's cutting up, god. Oh my god, she makes another crudité board, and then she makes these little cookies with edible flowers and her floral sprinkles, and then makes some crepes, and then here goes the brunch. Her mother comes, I think this other girl, is it Lindsay Roth? I don't know who this girl is. A bunch of people come that we saw before throughout the series, and Harry's there, and it's like, she goes, there he is. He wasn't the first person to show up, by the way. It was like, there he is, look who's here. And then he's like, oh, I love it. You did a great job. And then she's like, oh yeah, this is to a new chapter in my life. Thank you guys for loving me. Woo, I'm so great. Yeah, and then the show is over. So that was With Love, Meghan, guys. And I honestly, truly, I say this all the time, I know, but I don't have the energy. I'm not reviewing season 2. I'm wiping my memory of knowing who Meghan Markle is because she is truly a vampire who has drained me, but I allowed her to drain me because truly at first I was captivated and fascinated by the fact that we got to see another royal wedding. We got to see Diana's youngest son, get happy and find his happiness, and then the Megxit was like a car crash. Then the Oprah interview, then all of these things, Spare, Finding Freedom, whatever. And it's like, this is what she left the royal family for? to be a lady who lunches and a woman in the kitchen. So the days of being a global feminist pioneer, that was never what she wanted. This is what she wanted all along, you know. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching or listening to this, and I will see you in the next video that has absolutely nothing to do with Meghan, because thankfully I'm done recapping this series. Alright? Bye, guys.